Hello everyone, it's Doug back with the Tualatin Public Library here to bring you another round of trivia for this nice Saturday evening. So, what we've got, 3 rounds of trivia, 8 questions each. I'm going to go ahead and read you the questions for all 3 rounds and then let you pause the video, go back, re-listen, do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable before I go into the answers. So, without any further ado, let's begin. Round 1 is called Libraries Rock, Rock and Roll Bookstore. So what we have here is some trivia about musicians and biographies. Autobiographies, biographies by other authors, etc. Here's number 1. Nowhere Man is Robert Rosen's take on the final days of this Beatle, this member of the Beatles. Nowhere Man is the title of the biography. Number 2, Last Train to Memphis tells of the first part of this man's life up to the death of his mother. This musician, Last Train to Memphis. And number 3, this singer's autobiography is titled Lady Sings the Blues. This singer's autobiography, Lady Sings the Blues. And number 4, the title of Robert Shelton's biography, No Direction Home, about this performer comes from comes from a line in one of his hit songs. Not the title, but a line in one of his hit songs. No Direction Home is the name of the book. Okay, number 5. Sticky Fingers is the biography of Jan Venner, co-founder of this music magazine. Sticky Fingers. Okay, number 6. This rocker called his autobiography Kiss and Makeup. Kiss and Makeup is the title of this autobiography. By which rock and roll musician? Number 7. In 2002, his journals were published, filled with drawings, lyrics, and his plans for his band Nirvana. And number 8, The Rose That Grew From Concrete is the title of a book of this slain rapper's poetry, a rapper who was famously murdered. Title of his book of poetry, The Rose That Grew From Concrete. Okay, now we're moving into round 2, which is about mythology, plain and simple. Let's get right into it. Number 1, this goddess of wisdom had an unusual parentage. No mom, just sprang full grown out of Zeus's head. This goddess of wisdom, who was it? And number 2, according to Australian myth, this phenomenon seen in the sky is a giant snake arching its body. According to Australian myth, this phenomenon in the sky. And number 3, an early sculpture by Michelangelo depicts the battle of these mythical half-man, half-horse creatures. A sculpture by Michelangelo, the battle of these half-man, half-horse creatures. And number 4, in Norse myth, these maidens chose the men who were to die in battle and then brought them to Valhalla. Norse myth, these maidens of battle. And number 5, it's a planet, an element, a brand of car, and a Roman god. A planet, an element, a brand of car, and a Roman god. Who is it? What is it? Number 6, in Incan myth, it was this South American camel relative that warned man about the impending flood. In Incan myth, this South American relative to the camel. And number 7, despite his father's warnings, he flew too close to the sun, melting the wax on his wings, causing him to plunge into the sea. Who was it? And number 8, in Egyptian mythology, the god Horus has the head of a falcon, the god Thoth, the head of this wading bird. What type of bird does Thoth have the head of? And number 3, round 3, I should say, a comedy of errors, a round on comedy and mistakes. Number 1, 7-letter style of comedy mastered by the straight-faced Buster Keaton and the monotone Stephen Wright. 7-letter style of comedy by the straight-faced Buster Keaton and the monotone Stephen Wright. And number 2, Nixon accepted this on September 8th, 1974, expressing his regrets for the mistakes he made. What did he accept September 8th, 1974? And number 3, on Between Two Ferns, this actor asked Ben Stiller, "Do you wish you had ever followed your parents into comedy?" Which actor asked Ben Stiller that question on Between Two Ferns? And number 4, this Las Vegas mogul gestured to a $139 million Picasso he was selling and put his elbow through it. Ouch. Who was it? A Las Vegas mogul. Number 5, this comedy team made their feature film debut in 1929's The Coconuts, which was based on their stage play, a comedy team. Feature film debut, 1929. And number 6, 45,000 student scores were raised on this test, given 10-12-96 after a math question was found flawed. This test, 10-12-96, 45,000 students. And number 7, Daughter Chastity made her TV debut on this singing duo's comedy hour in the early 1970s. Daughter Chastity, TV debut on this singing duo's comedy hour. And number 8, in 1812, this world leader learned a hard lesson: don't wage a land war in Russia in winter. Who was it, this world leader? Okay. Go ahead and pause, re-watch, re-listen, do whatever you need to do, because I'm going to go ahead and get into the answers, starting with round 1, Libraries Rock Nowhere Man, The Final Days of John Lennon, the Beatles, of course. Last Train to Memphis is about Elvis Presley, and this singer's autobiography, Lady Sings the Blues, Billie Holiday. And Robert Shelton's biography, No Direction Home, about this performer. This is Bob Dylan, and that is going to be lyrics from Like a Rolling Stone. And Sticky Fingers is the biography of the co-founder of this music magazine, Rolling Stone magazine. And number 6, this rocker called his autobiography Kiss and Makeup. Gene Simmons, of course, frontman of Kiss. And number 7, frontman of Nirvana. His journals were published in 2002, Kurt Cobain. And The Rose That Grew from Concrete, the poetry book of this rapper, Tupac Shakur. And round 2, mythology, the goddess of wisdom who sprang full-grown out of Zeus's head, Athena. And according to Australian myth, this phenomenon is a giant snake arching its body. This is a rainbow. And an early sculpture by Michelangelo depicts the battle of half-man, half-horse creatures, centaurs they're called. And these battle maidens in Norse mythology that carry warriors to Valhalla, Valkyries. And it's a planet, an element, a brand of car, and a Roman god, Mercury. And in Incan myth, they warn men about impending floods. This is llamas. And his wax wings melted when he flew too close to the sun, Icarus. And the Egyptian god with the head, or I should say Thoth, has the head of an ibis, the bird. Okay, comedy of errors, final round. 7-letter style of comedy, deadpan. And in 1974, Nixon received a presidential pardon. Awful sweet of them. And the comedian host of Between Two Ferns, Zach Galifianakis, and a Las Vegas mogul who ruined a Picasso worth $139 million, Stephen Wynn. And a comedy team made their film debut in 1929, The Coconuts, Marx Brothers. And 45,000 student scores were raised after an incorrect math problem was found, SATs. And Daughter Chastity made her TV debut on Sonny and Cher. And last but not least, in 1812, Napoleon learned you don't want to invade Russia. Bad idea. They'll starve you out because they're hardcore. Okay, hopefully that bit of advice helps you. Don't attack Russia. Wouldn't recommend it. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, have some fun, and I will see you next week. Once again, it's been Doug with the Tualatin Public Library, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.